millisecond. It took place specifically in Southeast Asia and involved an array of countries including Japan, the United States, France, Russia, and later the UK and China were added to the list. Japan's plan was to destroy the American Navy, occupy Luzon and Guam, and then wait for the U.S. fleet to come to the islands to take them down. They calculated that they should have about 70% of the U.S.'s Navy's strength, because they thought they should be able to destroy 30% of their force before it got to Southeast Asia. By 1940, Japan's war against China came to a halt, so Japan started focusing the war against the West. Admiral Yamamoto Isoroku, commander of the Japanese fleet, was making a plan of a surprise attack in Pearl Harbor. The purpose of this attack was simply not to let the U.S. attack first. At the same time the attack was being planned, Japan decided to take over French Indochina to get a reaction and mobilize war. The U.S. reacted to this move by imposing an embargo on Japan, therefore completely ceasing oil commerce and production. At the time of this embargo, they would only have enough oil to sustain themselves for 2 years, since the U.S. furnished about 80% of Japan's oil. Hence, the two main points of the Japanese plan remained the attack on Pearl Harbor and the Southern Operation, aimed to take control over the Philippines. For these objectives combined, Japan allocated 50% of their air force and 20% of their ground force. Ultimately, even Yamamoto knew that this war would not end well for Japan, saying that if it went on for more than 6 months, there would be no prospect of winning it.
After Pearl Harbor, the American people were truly devastated. Such a loss shook the American people to their core. They all wondered how the Japanese hit so close to home without the government stopping them. The catastrophic event of Pearl Harbor made the American people lose faith in their government. The American people wanted revenge. As an act of retribution, the American government thought it would be fit to attack Japan back. This is how the idea of Doolittle Raid started. Doolittle Raid started as an idea to raid Japan. It slowly turned into the idea of bombing the capital itself. They knew the only plane that could travel far enough with enough bombs at the time was the B-25. The plan was that a fleet of carriers would travel 200 miles off the coast, which is the safest way they thought that they would be able to get to shore. The Doolittle Raid was to take place on April 18, 1942. There were complications, on the other hand. The Japanese fishermen reported the American carriers while they were still 600 miles out, so the B-25s traveled thrice the distance originally meant for them to go. They traveled to the capital and released all of their bombs. The attack lasted a total of 30 seconds. Many bombs were dropped. One came within a mile of the Emperor's building. Besides that, they were randomly dropped over the city. After the attack, the B-25s were ordered to get to China. All the planes flew until they ran out of fuel. After that, they were forced to crash land their ships. Farmers and townspeople helped them to recover from the landing and kept them safe. The Japanese went into a tizzy at how the American planes almost killed their emperor. The American people were proud of their success.
The artifact that we chose was the B-25 bomber plane. The plane was a medium bomber with a length of 53 feet and a wingspan of 68 feet. This flying machine had two Wright R-2600 92 engines that could reach a maximum speed of 272 miles per hour and a cruising speed of 230 miles per hour. The deadliest thing about this plane was the 12 to 18.5 caliber machine guns and the ability to carry a maximum bomb load of 3,200 pounds of bombs. This plane would be useless without a crew, though. The crew included a pilot, a co-pilot, a bombarder/navigator, flight engineer, radio operator, and a tail gunner. One of the most famous B-25 bomber planes is the Paper Doll, which has been on 125 missions. This plane proved itself to be durable and dependable.